Well, Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton introduced a bill yesterday called the American Workforce Act that does two things. First, it proposes a $9,000 voucher for trainees who go into a contract with an employer, quote, who commits to providing a full-time paid position combining on-the-job experience and skilled educational workforce training. Now, the second part of this is Cotton plans to fund the proposal by taxing some of the wealthiest private universities on their endowments. It's modeled after a proposal that American Compass, which is a new sort of working class centered conservative group led by Orrin Cass, this great group, came out with earlier. And Ryan, I think this is a fantastic idea. I think $9,000 vouchers are a much better way for people to enter the workforce in very many cases than wasting money on degrees they regret. There are high numbers of people saying they regret getting their degrees. There's high numbers of overemployment in this country. And so $9,000 for basically training is a great way, I think, for people to get in the workforce. I like the idea of taxing endowments too. What say you?
Well, far be it for me to complain about wasteful government spending. But I mean, okay, let's game this out here.
Let's do it.
Your company, let's say you're a newsroom. You hire people as copy editors. You hire them as entry-level journalists. You hire people on your production staff. Now they're saying you can get $9,000 to train people. Well, I mean, and he's very specific in his language where he says that how they do the training would be left up to business because there's an ideological component where you can't tell a business what to do. In other words, you can't put rules and regulations that actually are going to enforce whether or not this is actually a position where there's training going on or that it's any different than before, because in any hierarchical company, there is always a component of mentoring and training that goes on. I'm all for the government investing in training up a workforce. Like, I'm all for that. It seems like this would be like PPP on steroids, like so easy for employers to just game and just say, hey, this person here, we trained them on how to use our content management system. We corrected them when they made mistakes in their articles, so therefore we deserve this $9,000. And like I said, the government wants to spend a bunch of money and give $9,000 to every company out there. I'm not really going to go to the barricades to get in the way of that happening. But are you concerned that it would just be a ton of money out the door? Oh, I'm
always concerned about that, because what you don't want to get into is a situation as we see with student loans, where you have kind of a wealth transfer, where you see people who did not benefit from the system paying into it, where you have a system that's broken, and instead of fixing the root of the problem. But I think actually what this does is sort of a necessary companion to student loan debt forgiveness, because if you don't do anything that incentivizes people to take different courses and starts pushing incentives on colleges to make the tuition more affordable by sending people down different routes and saying you don't need this bachelor's degree to be credentialed, you can take another path, then I think that's great, especially if you're funding it by taxing endowments. Now, I think it is important to see how the bill functions, and these things are always refined after they're introduced, and there are amendments, and there's debate about them. So I think it's important that there are safeguards to say this is how it should be. But I imagine this also really being used by plumbers, welders, people in the trades who want to get incentives for young people to get in the door. They have a hard time hiring people in those positions in a lot of places of the country. It's stable, middle class, good work, and anything that pushes people into those paths instead of a path where they maybe do some college, drop out, have debt from it, but not a degree, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, try it. Go ahead. Like knock yourself out. And I'm also fine to fund it by taxing university endowments. That's hilarious. I love it. The left has been talking about taxing these endowments and even seizing them for a very long time. So that sounds great to me. There was an interesting carve out in there that we were talking about earlier. It says except for institutions with a religious mission.
I was really interested in you caught that, and you said You were like, Harvard will just become Unitarian.
Right. And Penn, they're Quakers, right?
Yeah.
Are they still a Quaker organization? Quakers are, that's a religion.
Yeah.
So Penn's endowment is safe, but Harvard's isn't unless Harvard converts to some type of religious Rastafarianism, maybe, whatever they.
Yeah.
Because if there's billions of dollars at stake, they're going to become believers. And you were saying, as the right, as people like Tom Cotton, I think, have said, they believe that wokeism is a religion.
John McWhorter has a whole chart proving that the wokeism is.
So they can call to their IRS hearing John McWhorter, and he can testify that, in fact, Harvard is an institution with a religious mission. Yeah. And so therefore they're exempt from this endowment tax. Saying, like, I don't understand how you could. Is that even legal to say that? I mean, that let's say a Catholic university versus a non-Catholic university, both of which are set up as nonprofits, and one gets the subsidy but the other doesn't, specifically because one of them is religious. That doesn't seem
well. And it's also interesting because a lot of people would take issue with, like, Georgetown, which is Jesuit, being exempt from this because Georgetown being Jesuit has hardly saved it from being basically completely ideologically on the far left. So I mean, I think.
So he's trying to say, if you're right, if you're conservative, this will not hit you.
Or if you're sincerely religious, if you're an actually religious institution that hasn't been secularized but still is sort of religious in name only.
How is that American? How's that legal? How's that constitutional?
I think that's one of the things we would see refined, and I imagine.
Although with our Supreme Court, they'd be like, yeah. This is great.
Well, what happens? I mean, yeah.
We're a theocracy, and this is,
We are not a theocracy.
We're on our way.
This is I feel like this is a really good place, a really representative moment to end Rising Fridays on. We went through, basically the show took through this very tumultuous summer through the leak of the draft Dobbs opinion, which is one of our first shows. Then the Dobbs opinion came down while we were on air. Which was pretty wild, and with the Uvalde tragedy was the summer. It was a very tumultuous summer, but it was, I think, very constructive to be here talking through these difficult questions. And starting next Friday, we'll be over at Breaking Points. You will still see us here. We will be more than happy. We're excited to come back as guests and guest hosts.
We'll be here some Mondays, maybe some Fridays. If Robbie's sick, if Brianna's sick, we're happy to.
Right.
Come on by, share our wisdom.
A dose of Rising Fridays wisdom. So you'll still see us here. We're so grateful to everybody at Rising and everybody at the Hill for their support. Such a great team here. It's in a way not even bittersweet because we'll be back, and you will see us. We are so appreciative for everybody in the audience. It's been an absolute blast, and it will continue to be an absolute blast.
Indeed.
So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while you're on the go, we're also available anywhere you listen to your podcast. That's why we had to read Donald Trump's full Truth Social post just now, so nobody who's listening to us as a podcast missed out on the great content there, although you would have missed the capitalizations that Ryan introduced.
But you can imagine them.
Yeah, you know what they are.
You know where they go. Yeah.
Well, Robbie and Bree and the whole gang will be back next week, so make sure to stay tuned for that. We'll see you soon.
Have a great weekend.